All right, guys, welcome back to the Real South Africa. We really missed you guys. We have a great episode for you today. We have Lynnwood, who's come back to South Africa. He actually purchased a property, so we're newly at his property, just checking it out, and at the same time having a great conversation. You're absolutely going to love the conversation, so make sure you stick with the entire video. It's going to be awesome. And then, of course, you need to go ahead and subscribe to this channel to support us. We really appreciate it, and we hope to see you guys on the inside. So let's get at it. All right, guys, again, this is Mark Blanton, and this is Johannesburg. This is Sandton area in Johannesburg. There's plenty of areas, very progressive, very upscale or upmarket, as we say here in South Africa. But we really appreciate the fact that you guys are checking out our video. Make sure you, again, share it as well. Like I said, Lynnwood, he is here now, and we really appreciate the fact that he chose the Real South Africa. Okay, cool. But no, on the SA tourism front, what I learned having conversation with them, because what happened, like all the managing directors and higher at the Indaba 2019, and so 2019 we had a conversation with them, and they was like, look, they said just a few short years ago, like you see all these black people doing stuff in the tourism space as managing directors and higher, which is a big deal. They wasn't there. There wasn't no such thing as a black managing director or anything in this tourism space. Mm-hmm. Tourism here in South Africa is massive. It's like Department of Defense in the States. Mm-hmm. That's how they sell their country, and then they do what they do. Mm-hmm. So they taught me, we was all sitting around drinking, remember? So it was over for the day, and we were somebody brought out some food, and then we started, that's how we doing SA. And they started breaking down, like, this is what's happening in tourism space. Now you see us. And then on top of that, they taught us, like, what tourism actually does. Like, this is how you do it. Mm-hmm. So I said, what I can do, then I can use those principles that they taught us to retool it and focus on the African American community and say, okay, that's how you do it. Because I didn't just want to put up a flyer and say, hey, come to Africa, and then just kind of go to a few places and then come back. I wanted to do it proper. And they told me that. And these are people that are in positions with the SA tourism, Haunting tourism, most of the tourism people, because they all know each other. They just happen to be in different locations throughout the country. So I learned a lot from them. So I do appreciate the fact that they opened up their kit bag and taught us, we're pretty swift on the uptake on this is how it works. So that's why we do tourism. We just don't do trips.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, and that's why you're doing what you're doing now, because of some of the things that they've said, even though they're not here. But some of the things that they said, so that we put things out the way that, okay, that makes sense.
So I think, what I was saying a bit ago was when you think about tourism as a whole, you could tie tourism to so many things. So a lady I talked to earlier today, she was like, hey, I'm in the wellness space. However, I want to be able to use what you do in the South African space and try to expand it. And the truth of the matter is, Africa is huge. We focus on South Africa because it's easier for us to do because we're here. I'm not going to be an expert in 54, nations. So I just try to focus on South Africa. And I think that she's right. If you have the blueprint, South Africa is the easiest country to assimilate to.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Right. Especially if you're talking about westernized, people. You talk about diaspora, you talk about USA, you talk about
but it's Africa people. Too.
It's still Africa. So if you can start here with the blueprint and then expand it out, then it makes it easier for people to be like, put Africa back on the list versus, whereas before, you start talking Africa to people, what they say.
Yeah.
I don't know about Africa.
Yeah.
Do they have streets?
Yeah.
It's just simple little things that,
it's crazy.
Most people are not aware of what goes on here at all because, it's propaganda TV.
Well,
they don't show it.
Yeah.
It's the old divide and conquer. what I've seen when I'm over in the U.S. Now I love the U.S. I was born and raised there.
Me
My
too,
family's
me too,
there,
me too.
and I plan to live everywhere. Okay?
Right.
But when I see the kind of nonsense that they put out there about Africa, even just South Africa, oh, don't go there, it's dangerous. Lady I met on a trip we just got off of, I said, ma'am, there's problems everywhere you live, everywhere you go. I'm good.
I'm glad we're not driving.
Anytime somebody that's drinking, hit that drink.
Everybody else got breaking
But the good part about it is that you're at home. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
People don't realize
That's true.
People don't realize that Lynnwood has brought a home here in South Africa.
And he is inside his space.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, look at like the king. He like, yeah, this is. I'm at my counter.
Yeah. I mean, but he's still working on it. He's going to get it all prettied up for himself and get all the stuff.
But they did all of this in like 3 days. So.
Yeah. And so your purpose for doing it, if I remember, you said you were trying to do it for legacy purposes.
Yes. Simply because what my kids and everybody else's kids of color in the U.S. have been taught, that Africa is so backwards, they don't understand the beauty of Africa, the history of Africa, and our kids will come up ignorant. We've lost our mind simply because we have learned the Eurocentric way of dealing with things and living on and on, you know, but I want my children to come see for themselves what the beauty of Africa has to offer, what you can learn from being in Africa. You can see the camaraderie between people here, much more so than I see in the States, because the mindset that we have that we're killing each other constantly. Police are killing us constantly. And I said, look, be amongst your own to learn your true history, learn who you are, where you come from, what kind of morals and stuff we had before we were taken over by the colonizers. Now,
I think we heard that term in Black Panther.
Ooh, colonizer, you scared me. I never broke it by But you know my favorite part.
What gets me is that we are so afraid of the truth. We are so we make excuses for it. We don't deal with it. There's a brother that's a professor, Eddie Glaude. I listen to him. He's trying to get to the truth. He's a professor at Princeton University. Okay. Brother's deep, very deep. And I learned from him also. I learned from a lot of people.
Sure.
But if we don't get to the truth of the matter, nothing will change. Everything will remain the same, and we can't do that. And one thing I've learned from being in America, that everything we've been allowed to take part in, we've dominated it. Tiger Woods.
Serena Williams.
And we are some deep people. We have to come to understanding that who we are.
Great.
And if we don't, we'll maintain that same mentality.
Forever.
Oh, forever. And for me, just check out your YouTube channel, The Real South Africa. I was focused. What you showed me, I've been all over Africa. I've lived in, and we discussed this already.
Sure.
I've lived in places that I used to take showers outside with the sun above me, and I love that. I love a lot about Africa. It doesn't all have to be the big buildings and all this other. I can go any place and feel at home. So I want people in Africa to start studying a little bit more about who they are, where they come from, understand what their ancestors have done for them and gone through. And let's change this mode of nonsense, craziness that we
experience the people here. The people are beautiful. They're so nice. Everywhere you go, It's just,
It's something, ain't it?
it's so loving. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
I don't get that.
We never experienced that. We hardly ever experienced that in the States.
When you talk about
Exactly.
like people just so loving and they're like nice the second you meet them.
Right.
I remember here you speak to people just because they pass by you. You're like, hello, Savona, whatever the case may be. And I remember going back to the States and speaking, and people were like, "Am I loving you?" And I was like, "Oh, I forgot that even though I see another human being, another brother, another sister, to speak to them in the U.S. is like." Because we put up guards for no reason at all. But I think that the reason that we do this is because we're taught to not see each other. We're here. When you talk about Ubuntu, it's like, I am because you are, and I speak to you because I see you. I actually see you. And it's difficult to transition back to not seeing people when you've been exposed to what it feels like to see people, to see someone and be like, hey, I've had 2-year-olds be smiling like, hey, and I'm like, a 2-year-old sees me, but as an adult, if I see another adult in the U.S., it's like, you know.
But you know what's funny though, Tasha? Because we had a conversation with a gentleman. Believe it or not, in our tourism space that we're doing here, we get a lot of South Africans that reach out to us with ideas and what can we do? Because the reality is, on the South African side, I'm just being honest with you, they want to connect. They want to connect with as many Americans as they can. They want to connect just to say hey, and that's ultimately what it comes down to. And then of course the Americans are just trying to figure out how to get here. And then we tell them and whatnot. So then they come and then they connect, and then they're floored. They're like, wow, I didn't know it was like this.
Yeah.
But I had a gentleman call me just the other day. His name is Robert. He's in the Vaal, which is in the southern portion of Gauteng province. And what did he say, Tasha? Because you said it best about the brokenness.
So his analogy was that if you take the time and the money to buy a BMW, an Audi, a Mercedes, when that car breaks down, where do you take your car to? You take it back to the person that you bought it from.
Yeah, where it came from.
You take it back to where it came from. He's like, so in America, a lot of my brothers and sisters are broken, and in order for them to be fixed and healed, they need to come back to where they came from. They need to come back here for their proper fixation, their proper healing. And I was like, goosebumps, because it made sense to me. I'm like, and don't get me wrong, there's gonna be that person that's like, but you can take it to any dealership. And you know what the problem is? As Americans vacation other places, we do take it to any dealership, and what do we get? Improper healing, improper fixing. We're never made whole again because we keep going to other places to try and fix it that only where we came from can actually fix. And I'm like, I live in Africa.
So what do you think about that? What she just said? I thought it was nice.
It was prophetic to me.
Yes, definitely. My thing is, unless we start working with each other, things are going to remain the same. We're going to be just as naive and ignorant of who we are. And I want to see that change. Because without any movement, there's no movement.
Exactly.
How prophetic was that?
But I will say, from being here and experience, if the reality is, I trolled that United States for years in every capacity. If you join the military, you're supposed to be exalted, but then you ultimately find that you get jammed up. And I've done all this stuff. We own businesses, and then you find out once you get to a certain point, you get jammed up. It's just a jam up process. So no, it really is.
They're only gonna let you get so far.
And you are where you are. And so for my South African friends, don't think ever that us Americans just got it. Some levels we got it made. They keep thinking that we got it made because we're in America.
And we make dollars.
Yeah, and you've done pretty much a good lifetime there in America. Have we had it made since the 50s?
Oh, come on.
The 60s.
My wife just explained it to a group that we were with the other night. And he was talking, she just came in and said, wait a minute. It's not what you think. We experience the same things in America that you experience here. And the unfortunate thing is that they will talk in Harper. On Harvard, what's the word?
Harvard.
about people living in the shanties and people not doing it. I said, I can take you right to Mississippi. I can take you any place in America and show you the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have to get out of that mindset. We're gonna have to.
And you're experienced.
Well, I'm learning, brother.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
No,
But
you
you know
never
what?
stop learning, but in 73 years, you've seen some things that
Oh,
you
definitely.
cannot dispute.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Compare and contrast.
Yeah. He's like, well,
Yeah, but we failed to listen to some of our ancestors that was on this planet, and they're gone. Sheikh Anta John Henry Clark, Asa Hilliard. These brothers was bringing massive intelligence to you. And I'm sitting there saying, well, why can't we just live and listen to what this brother was saying and analyze it for yourself and move on? But let me say this. It was 400 plus to get us in this mindset. So, and I had to come to the realization it's not going to be 4 or 5 years or 100 years to get us out of this. We cannot fight the people that are in power. We don't have the weaponry, we don't have the money, but let's get together as the people and work with each other, love each other, work together, and we can come out of this nonsense. We really can.
I think what you said, 400 plus years to get into this mindset, there's an analogy, and it might be true. They say basically for every year that you're married, per se, it takes twice as long to basically come out of it as far as your divorce is concerned, right? So if we're in this marriage of 400 years of trauma, then you can expect it's not gonna be in any of our lifetimes that this actually happens, but we have the tools at our fingertips now to actually make it work. So I don't suspect that we're going to change the landscape, just on, our efforts. But I do believe that these tools are going to be passed along to your people and people after us and so on, that says, you know what, we're going to stop listening to I'm going to use the word oppressor, but to our colonizers, we're going to stop listening to them tell us that Africans, full stop, not just South Africans, are our enemy. Because even to this day, we still get comments on our pages. I thought you guys didn't like us. We were told they didn't like us either, and they were told the same thing. And I'm like, the truth of the matter is, why would it benefit them to tell you? Why would it benefit them to be like, oh, they're really missing you. They really would love for you to come. Why would that benefit them? So when we can understand that, yes, they put things in place, but we still have money, we still have resources, and if you really want to understand how it actually works, you got to find it for yourself. There's not one person that's going to give a diasporan permission to come to Africa. It's not going to happen. You have to make that decision for yourself.
I will add to that the fact that when we say people need to come to the real South Africa, so people do come here on tours all the time. They come here on tours and they do the tour stuff. I just looked at a picture, it's a little picture of South Africa tourism somewhere else, and then when they look at the people that are working the booths that are there, they're not black people, they're white people. So people have this impression that all of South Africa is pretty much white.
That's true.
Yeah. So now here we are. We're in Atlanta, and we have our own situation. It has nothing to do with them. And we look over there, and there's a big old giant booth, like 4 times bigger than our booth, because we're private. And this is government supported, and there's nothing but white people in these booths booking trips to come to South Africa.
We're selling South Africa.
Yeah, selling South Africa. And then what they're really doing is they're and I hate to say it like this, they're actually selling South Africa. So then the white tour operators that are here are getting that business. So they send white people. So I'm gonna let that die right there. So then here are people coming to our booth, standing in line, wanting to talk to us, because they're like,
black people in South Africa?
Black people in South Africa. We're in Atlanta. It really doesn't resonate with them. And they're like, and then they talk to us, like, oh, you American? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, we live in South Africa. We're promoting our company, tourism in South Africa. So when you come here, you're not going to just get with, going to the white tourist location.
Bush.
Yeah, to the bush or whatever they call it.
There are black bush operators, and I get that.
But there's more to this
Yeah.
thing. And again, you guys, it's just due to contrast. You guys came with us. and you end up buying a home.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't think that if you would have came through a white tour operator that you would have even considered buying a home in South Africa.
I looked at the trip we just came from, and you know, very nice white folks was on there, and it was white oriented. All right,
Of course.
but I love the landscape of it. Now, had I been just in this, let me say this: if I didn't have the love in me of Africa, I probably would have never ever thought moving here.
Yeah.
I've been for 40, 50 plus years listening to all these brothers that are my mentors, and I've listened to them, and even Malcolm, and I listened to these brothers talk to me, and I started doing my research, and that's what's changed me. I have the love of Africa in me. I have the love of my ancestors in me. So it was, the transition for me was almost inevitable.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why I couldn't move in, and then you came.
Don't you blame me.
Show me my lifestyle.
He's like, wait a minute, this is what I've been looking for.
That's it.
Yeah.
And see, the unfortunate thing is that we always think it's jungle and monkeys and all this stuff here.
I mean, they're here. You
Yeah.
gotta go find them.
But you go at your, whenever you want to go.
Yeah,
see.
go
It's
find
not
them.
that you got to live. And that's the unfortunate thing about black folks in the States. All the indoctrination that has been handed to them, they don't understand how beautiful this place is.
It is beautiful.
Yeah, and that's why we spend a lot of time, I'm not going to convince you. I don't think I convinced you.
No, I'm not
You know, so those that have that in their heart, or those that are like thinking about it, or whatever the case may be, there is an avenue. You know, if it's not South Africa, it might be Ghana.
Right.
It could be somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm going to say again, good luck, have a good time,
Right.
get with the right people, do all your stuff,
Right.
go to Africa, because I believe personally that all of us need to be minimally live in America, live in Chattanooga, where they just had another
Mass
shooting
shooting.
or whatever.
Right.
Live there, that's
Your face is
fine.
like, yeah.
But you should be able to no different than any of your co-workers who are from Ireland, their family lineage come from these different locations, that when they disappear for a week or two, you don't know where they went home.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna tell you.
Exactly.
They ain't gonna report to you.
Exactly.
Exactly. So, and they go. So we should be able to say, you know what? I'm gonna go to Africa.
Right.
And I'm gonna go
Right.
see what's really going on. We like the fact that some of the people that we have brought here, like I said, we do the phone calls.
Yeah.
We actually got phone calls later on today.
Yeah, we do.
Honestly. But they usually, if I took their emails and their phone calls and just played them on for public, you'd be like, they ain't coming to South Africa. But they end up coming, and then now these people on their second and third tour
Yeah.
coming to South Africa, and they're like, because I had this whole stone wall about Africa in my perception.
Or South Africa, apartheid.
Yeah.
It's gotta be. Why would I go to a country that's more racist than the one I love to? Sorry. America has coined racism. They own that. Trust me, nobody does racism better than America.
Yeah. So it's very interesting, and then they get here, and then the same thing happened to us, but we did it on our own.
Yeah.
We did it to ourselves.
I know we did it to ourselves.
No, we really did. But what happens is people get here and they start looking at, they start comparing. That's a normal nature. You start comparing, and then you start thinking, wow, I can have a better life overall. And so, but it comes through that tourism avenue that I spoke of earlier. That these black people here in South Africa, who were nobodies in the tourism space, ultimately ascended because apartheid ended, and then they moved up.
Right.
Took enough time, and again, I appreciate the fact that they took enough time to sit down with these entrepreneurs. And that's basically ultimately, we do a lot of stuff, but we ultimately are just entrepreneurs. Sit down with us and broke it down for if it could ever be broken, to the point to where we're like, okay, we get it, and then we took it, repackaged it, and we said, okay, this will work for our people. This will work for our people in America because we know us. And whatnot. So that's why we always try to, let people know what's going on, and then privately, you'll be surprised. It's hilarious. Me and my wife, we've been thinking.
I love it. They literally almost started. They're like, "Hey, such and such. Me and my wife, we was watching your YouTube channel, and
we've been thinking.
We've been thinking. If I had $1 for every email that started with, we've been watching your channel and we've been thinking, or we've been thinking and we saw your channel, or we happened upon your channel and now we've been thinking." I'm like, how many conversations have we spawned that keep people up at night going, And the truth of the matter is, that's really all we want. Start the conversation with yourselves at home, like really start thinking, because that's how it happened to us.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it happened. We saw Blacks Without Borders.
Wait. What happened to you?
Did I miss something? What happened?
No, let me tell you what life is all about.
What is life about,
It's
bro?
always, you have to plant seeds and they come from you. And I come along, I water it.
Thank
A
you.
little more, and so on and so forth. That's all it's about. We don't understand that. Nobody knows everything.
True.
You are taught through phases how to understand certain things out here. And that's how a long time ago, I read this book by J. Krishnamurti. He's an Indian philosopher. Changed my world set. Along with the other brothers, you can learn from everybody and everything. And I learned that by keep moving on. And I have, like I repeated, I have that love of understanding what Africa started and created and moved on, all right? And I see how it's been stolen and changed and repackaged. Yeah. But you have to go back to the beginning to understand where it all came from.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, you will just have to suffer under the guise of them telling you what you should know and what is true now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So at the end of the day, your experience and the hundreds of people that we brought here, their experience, it all bears out at the end. They literally get here and let me tell you something. Let me just say it. I'm gonna say it. We get some of the most accomplished people, highly intelligent people, and it generally starts like this. My name is so and so. I live in ... and I'm a so and so, and I went to. I don't know why this is. I don't even know why this matters. It's just to book a trip.
But you also know why it does matter.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm gonna let you answer that.
Okay.
So then I'm so and so, and I graduated from so and so. I'm an alpha. I'm a AKA.
Yeah.
I'm a this. I'm a that. I'm a all this and so forth and so forth and so forth. And I do this and this and this and so forth. And I created and so forth and so forth. And I'm like, if you did that to go to Disney, they probably wouldn't let you. They would flag you. They would be like, you ain't coming here. But all this happens just to book a trip, to come here. And they, to me, they feel like they're putting all that on the line.
Just to come here.
Just to come here. And then they get here. They get here to the Republic of South Africa. And I'm sure that happens in other countries.
Right.
So again, I'm never going to just advocate for South Africa. I'm going to advocate for all wherever you can get on, wherever you can get on, whatever. But my point is, they get here after about 3 days. If I brought up their resume and if I actually printed their email, they'd be like, "What are you talking about?" Because they realize at some point you're home. It doesn't matter. Like when you walk into your parents' house, let's use that as a home.
Yeah.
You don't split out all those. I do this.
I just came from an IDC.
You just want to be home.
So now we're going to talk about what you should actually expect on this trip. What you should expect is what the real South Africa always deliver, which is luxury, couture, and lifestyle, which is going to be part of the whole experience. So you're going to go, obviously, to go and see the homes, but when you get picked up from the airport on those beautiful buses, you're going to get bused to your 5-star location. From there, you're going to have access to amenities that you've never had before, nice restaurants, things to do, right at your front door. after all of that, you're going to have the opportunity to go to a 5-star game lodge as well, and you'll be there for a couple of days, and that's all going to be included in your package. So let's talk about those package prices. So per person sharing, the price is $4,000, and if you're a person that wants a room to yourself, likes a little privacy, the cost is going to be $5,150. So if you have any other questions about that, you know how to reach us, info@therealsouthafrica.com, and we do look forward to seeing you here in sunny South Africa. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. If you like what you saw, please subscribe and don't forget to hit the notifications button so you don't miss out on all things The Real South Africa. Thanks again.